I'm very honored that you're here from all around the country, and we have a live stream. People have tuned in from different continents of the world. So very warm welcome to the ones at home listening to us today here in Amsterdam as well. My name is Jacomien Hendriksen. I'm the advisor Europe and Heritage at Dutch Culture, and I am the main organizer of today's symposium and also of the International Visitors Program that's taking place this week. International Visitors Programs are programs that we organize more often as Dutch Culture. Dutch Culture is the organization in the Netherlands for intangible cultural collaboration, for the ones who don't know us. And we organize several visitors programs, but also other events and projects during the year focused on international cultural exchange. And in my case, that is focused on Europe geographically and focused on heritage thematically. And as I said, we have 7 different visitors visiting us this week, and we have a fully packed program from Monday morning to tomorrow afternoon. We visited several Dutch organizations, heritage communities, some of you who are in the room today. Yeah, we actually wanted to share these visitors also with you, with a bit of a broader audience, and to grab the opportunity that they're here in the Netherlands. And this week's International Visitors Program and tonight's symposium is organized together with the Dutch Center for Intangible Cultural Heritage. Most of all, Mark Schep and Suzanne Verburg, who are here with me, and I would like to thank them as well for contributing with a lot of time, knowledge, and network, and everything else. Suzanne.
Yeah, so also a very warm welcome. Is this on? No? Yeah, now it is. A very warm welcome from us on behalf of the Dutch Center for Intangible Cultural Heritage. As Jacomien said, I'm Suzanne Verburg. I am the coordinator of the research and development team, and together with my colleague Mark Schep, we organized this week. And this visitors program is really important to us because we really value the exchange of knowledge on the subject of intangible heritage. We, as a Dutch Center, implement the convention regarding intangible cultural heritage in the Netherlands. And in doing so, we manage the inventory, for example, of ICH, which is the abbreviation of intangible cultural heritage. You will hear it a lot, I think, because it's such a long term. So ICH. And we do research in this area. But this convention only gives guidelines on how to work on intangible heritage. So every country who is working with this convention does it in their own method, has their own ways of working with communities. So having 7 experts here in the Netherlands is also for us very welcome to learn and to hear how they are doing this in their countries. Before we start the presentations, I wanted to introduce the concept of intangible heritage a little bit more, because many of you are maybe working in museums and not working on a daily basis with ICH. And it includes traditions, social practices, crafts and performing arts, for example, that has been passed on from generation to generation. These cultural expressions are dynamic and community-based. So our first 3 speakers will talk about their experiences with working with these ICH communities. How do they create sustainable and trustful equal relationships with them? And in our second part, our 4 speakers will show how they make this ICH more visible to an audience, to a public, for example. And how do they raise awareness around ICH in a museum or another organization? So, thank you.
Yes, and then I would like to introduce the first speaker. That's Agata Mucha from Poland. You work at the National Heritage Board of Poland in Katowice. And you are the coordinator of intangible cultural heritage in 3 Polish regions. And you're also working on a project called Record of Tradition that makes documents, archives and family collections digitally available. So I'm looking forward to hearing more. Agata.
Hello, everybody. I'm very happy I could be here with all of you, and I will try to share my experience in ICH in the field of my country, as Giacomo say, is Poland. Okay. Here is. Okay. Okay, I work in National Institution of Cultural Heritage in Poland. It is a state institution who was founded by Ministry of Cultural Heritage in my country. We are working in the field of tangible and intangible heritage. As a team of ICH, we are 11 people. 2 people work in our central in capital city in Warsaw, but we also have 9 regional coordinators. One of them is me. Yeah, I work in Wojewodenship Śląskie and Małopolskie and Łódzkie. This is the blue area. As a team, we work. We are advisors and also a researcher in one person. We are participation of application for national intangible cultural heritage of also a register of safeguarding practice with the societies. We are doing identification, also an inventory. We are sharing our knowledge, making a workshop with the societies. This is our daily work. Of course, Poland, as a Netherlands, we have got signed conventions from 2003 in 2011. That's because we have now have our national list of intangible cultural heritage. This month we have got now new elements, and there are 73 in whole country, in whole Poland, and we have got also the safeguarding practices. This is the list which was started up in 2011, and this is 9 practices from all over the world. And how do I work? I work from the last year with 3 regions, and I will start with 2 regions out of the 16, and this is the less than 10% of our country, but there are more than 30% of all entires, because we have got 24 elements inscribed on intangible cultural heritage list. Because probably we have to remember that the Poland has got displaced lots of people because of Second World War, but my region isn't that area. That's because we have got probably so many inscribed of our intangible cultural heritage. I work probably every day in field. I'm building ties with the local community. I show value outside of society, but also in the society. I am engagement. I use this time to unite and build cooperation with groups, because we have got a similar criteria for our list that the Netherlands, but we have got also one of criteria that is open consultations that we have got to do before we describe element on our intangible cultural heritage list. And this is the time when we have opportunity to build a community with all of the groups from intangible cultural heritage, because one of my elements is carol singing, and this is 27 groups as one element on our national list. I also working and I let the community itself present its heritage, let them and let me experience their heritage, because I know what the problem is. By doing that, I don't forget when somebody is on our intangible cultural heritage list on the national level. I always remember about them. I know their problems because I work with them sometimes every day. Yeah. This is my presentation. I work also as a coordinator of European Heritage Days, and I do this with the societies and work with these two files and try to include for example, my craftsmen to this idea, and we are doing a workshop, Open Days, by the European Heritage Day in September. This is a photo which was taken in Bear Foundry in Taciszów, where the family of Felczyński every year has got a group who has this inclusive opportunity to know the foundry. Also we are working, and now we have got 10th anniversary of our national intangible cultural heritage list, and we are trying to involve the societies to be the part of it, not to be a guest, because they want to present their own identity by it. And working with the groups is for me a pleasure, and I know the problems, and I try to, as a researcher, to improve some programs which will be some kind of solve their problems. And one of this is record of tradition. Is we have started this last year with the together with Center of Social Archives in Poland. It's a new institution, but it's also an institution who is found by our ministry, so we have got strong connections. And the idea is to aim to document, archive, and make available the collections held by depositaries of elements entered on our national list in Poland, because working with them, I know what they have got and what they don't show to the other people, and this is the basics of this idea of this project. And my colleagues from Center of Community Archives have got a really valuable tool. It's a community collection. It's a website where everybody could make an account. It is free and have to archive their documentary with the rules of our archivistics. So it is a very nice tool, and also it is very nice tool for our project, because society could add an account, so it's for free, can archive their document, but they can choose then what type of documents they want to show to the public. So we have got preserved the documentary, but they have a possibility to show only part of it, or also can show only a list. What do they have, and when somebody is interested in it, they can contact them. When they know what they use it for, they can give it or don't. So this is very, very important, especially when we are talking about crafts, because it's very in the basic of law. Important, and our idea is to carry it out by local communities that they describe their own traditions and sources of identity by showing their own archival material. So I think this is very, very ethical way to do it, because they do it by themselves and they inscribe this. And this is one of our first workshop in Żywiec last year in the spring. Also, we have know what are the problems of the community, because we have got a questionnaire when they can help us to build this program. Because when I started, I was thinking, oh, this is a problem. Then I asked the society, yes, this is a problem, we want a solution. Then I start to working with this topic. Here, a photo which one of our participants in first workshop have taken when he is riding to the shepherds' families. We are trying to build competence like a digitalization, also a recording, oral story. That is the two topics that we are working with the societies right now. Now will be only a few photos. How did it look like? This is our second workshop in session in winter last year. And this is some of examples. What do we have back from this workshop? This is part of collections of Leśniak family. This is family of toy makers in Stryszawa. This is Mr. Tadeusz on the first photo. This is his family archive. We have also make interviews with toy makers, but they do this by themselves to talk to each other. So this is also a very value thing and very correlated to the conventions of UNESCO. This is also photo scanned of the project by the Shepherds Societies. And this is something unusual, because writing to these families, Mr. Józef found a diary of shepherds who was laying in a back house, because in our national park in Tatry there was forbidden for sometimes for several years to go with the ships, and when in 1981 the park have allowed 2 or 3 shepherds to go back with the ships, they put this note, and everybody, also tourists or also local communities, have to can write why do they think that the back of the ship and why are they important in the landscape, also in the national park. So this is very value and very interesting material doing by themselves. So this is how do I try to work, and how do I try to work with the communities. Yeah, thank you very much.
And we have time for questions after the first 3 presentations, so at the end of the first part of the symposium. Now I would like to ask Claudio to give his presentation. Claudio Gnesi is director of Ecomuseo Casilino in Rome, in Italy, and a civic activist, and he will tell more about his institution.
So, I would like to thank you first of all, Jacomini, Jana, every member of the staff, the Dutch Center of Intangible Heritage, for this invitation, because I'm very honored to be here. So I come from Rome, not from the postcard or Rome that everybody knows, but from a very distant outskirt from the center of Rome. And in my Rome English, I'm trying to describe how we work with communities and how we deal with cultural heritage, intangible cultural heritage. So, first of all, where we are. As you see in the red circle, we are in the eastern part of Rome, and the red shape represented all the territory we live. Rome is divided in 14 municipalities, and we deal with the fifth municipality. As you can see, we have a huge population and a large presence of migrants. But the Ecomuseum is not the whole municipality. It's a smaller part, is the yellow part, and the population is still dense, but the population of the migrants is rising up, is very huge. So why? Why we are doing an Ecomuseum in this place, in Rome, in this place of Rome, in this specific part of Rome? We are doing this because this territory is the second in archaeological importance in Rome. But the strange thing is that nobody knows it, and from the Second World War was totally marginalized and was forgotten. The reason, we have many reasons about this these things, but the main reason is because it's a place of migrants. So it's like an internal racism from the city of Rome, from the city center of Rome, that decided to put outside the wall, in that part of Rome, all the people that they doesn't like. Migrants, politicians, everybody can create problems, are put there, okay? So the heritage, the territory, everything becomes a B-side, a B-class part of Rome. So in the same year of this photo, we are in 1960. You know, the people doesn't have the water in the house. In the same years, in the Appia Antica, that is really near our territory, was a really huge fight with academics, politicians that want to protect the Appia Antica because it's fundamental, it's fantastic, it's important. Okay, and in the same age, in our territory was starting a new building project that will raise and destroy all the archaeological heritage. That's the difference. But our archaeological heritage, I give you a news, is more important than the one of the Appia Antica, but nobody knows it. And that's the reason why it's important to highlight that probably we don't have a sponsor in Rome. Appia Antica has a sponsor, Aduas Lauros has no sponsor, and that's the reason why we are totally forgotten. This process started in the age of fascism, during Mussolini, because the city needs a large amount of space where amass people that are not desired, okay? So we have a huge space, we can make real estate speculation, we can make a lot of money, and we can push undesired people there, okay? That's the logic of all the intervention. 20 years ago, the citizens rise up and decided that this fate is not more possible. We can change things, we can change everything. And demand attention, protection, and sustainable development. An heritage community was born in that period because this community asked to respect the territory, to respect the heritage of the territory, to respect the community that lives there. It was a small revolution, okay? So this heritage community stops all the speculation and decide to create an urban eco-museum. But which kind of urban eco-museum? They don't want to create a building with someone inside that recounts the territory. They want to musealize the whole territory. So our eco-museum doesn't have a building. We work in the street, we work in the park, we work in the square. We share spaces with the association, with community of practice, to do event, to do exhibit. So we stay inside the community, and all the members of the eco-museum live in this territory. How we do this? Musealizing the territory. The whole territory is a museum for us. There is no wall. Every street, every corner, every bar, everything is museum. And we do it with a collective way, working with the people from all over the world, because actually we are the most international part of Rome. We create a scientific committee made by the people that live the territory and that have competences, anthropologists, urban planners, historian, I don't know, you understand, art curator, etc. We create an association of citizens. Actually, the association is made up by 50 people, active people, but the extended circle arrived to 1,000 people. Co-creating the heritage map of the territory. We create the basis of the eco-museum, the community map. The community map is the the map of all the things that the people that live the territory understand and perceive like representative of their story, their identity, their heritage. And then we co-create a development model based on culture, because the third legs we need in our territory, that it was very economically depressed, that we need to create work, we need to create development, we need to create something that people can use to have an income, to give the food to the kids. Now the Ecomuseo Casolino is recognized by the Lazio region as a local institution. So we are an institution now. We started like a protest movement, now we are an institution. But we still feel like an heritage community. Ecomuseo and ICH. Do you remember? We are all migrants since ancient times. This history of migrants have created a palimpsest of intangible cultural heritage. Very is enormous, is huge, is fantastic, and is a really new palimpsest that is largely underestimated by the academics and the experts. So, all the type we have actually. We are detected now, but we have just started. How we deal? We support the community, to local communities, to safeguarding the heritage in practical way. We assist them to authorization, to find the places, to find everything they need to perform, to practice, to do what they want to do. And obviously to assist them to get conscious that they are a community of practice. Because they don't feel like this. They don't feel that they are a community that create intangible heritage. So we support them to understand these things. And we support this, we are starting to catalog the inventory, helping them to understand the things and propose for the listing. How we do this? We do training especially the young people to be ambassador, to be a person that understand the importance of what they are doing and the importance to be a community, an heritage community. And we are starting to meet the community in school throughout stories, because all the community recount the stories of the other communities, so we create a new narration of the territory, and all the communities knows the story of the Bangladeshi community knows the Italian story, so everybody can interpret it and can recount this story. Fine is the last one. We engage the city, and we engage the city with the member of the community. We obviously lead guided tours, we make seminars, etc. But we are assuming people inside our organization, and actually we have 3 or 4 tours, like the one we are going to do this Saturday, that was leading by a person that lives the territory that we are going to describe. So all the people, only the people that live the territory can recount the territory that are going to expose. Grazie, and I'm here for your question, everything you want. I'm for you.
Thank you very much, Claudio. And now on to the third presentation on this topic of working with communities. By Matti Hakamaki from Finland. Matti, you are the director of Finnish Folk Music Institute and you teach folk music. You are also the chair of the Nordic and Baltic ICH network and the chair of the Promotion Center for Finnish Folk Music and Folk Dance. So, yeah, welcome.
Yes, hello all. Very honored to be here, and thank you for the invitation to the Dutch Culture and Dutch Center for Intangible Cultural Heritage. These have been very nice days, and I now try to present some examples and experiences from Kaustinen that we have heard from, that we have learned from community involvement. and especially through this UNESCO inscription process that we have been working with for last maybe 5 years. So I'm director of Finnish Folk Music Institute, and we work all around Finland, not only in this Kaustinen place, but this Kaustinen, on the other hand, it's very rich in the folk music, folk dance culture, and it has been kind of the center of the Finnish folk music scene for many decades, and actually even centuries, you could say. And there was a folk music festival, 68, that was established there, and through that, even the newer generations know Kaustinen in Finland as a folk music place. About the local heritage that we have, so in 2021, the local Kaustinen fiddle playing was inscribed to the list of representative list of UNESCO, of the Convention for the Safeguarding of the Intangible Cultural Heritage. And it is a living culture. In everyday life, it's very vivid in a small place where we have about 4,000 people in the central community or the municipality, but also surrounding communities and municipalities. It's about 5,000, 6,000 people living there, but it's very rich with the folk music and music practicing, dance. It's kind of the air that the communities breathe. It runs in families and in villages, and it has done so from generation to generation for many 300 years, maybe 200 years, and it still continues. And this is very rare in the Western world, to have these kind of local folk music communities where the tradition is still going on. Of course, changing all the time, like it should be. And this is the picture of the folk music festival, which has been from 68. And then also some kind of facts about the tradition. So it was based before on the wedding traditions, and the idea that music was a big part of the wedding traditions. So the wedding traditions kind of kept it alive. But then when the world changed and the weddings didn't have any more that kind of role, then the festival came, and it was very good thing for the local community, for the local traditions, because it kind of took the place of the wedding institution. So nowadays the festival, it's the biggest folk music festival in Nordic countries. It lasts for 1 week. It's in the second week of July. So that kind of gives the schedule for all the communities, all the bands, all the groups, all the players, dancers, local practitioners to practice and rehearse and so on. And that's kind of the main event of the year, and that kind of that's where the heritage is kind of the where everybody aims. That's the festival idea. So we have about 200 players, 200 dancers. These are very low estimates. Actually, there are almost 200 dancers, children dancers and youngster dancers that we have that rehearse every week, and also about more than 100 children and youngsters who practice playing every week. And so this is kind of the local tradition of the Kaustinen fiddle playing. And then there is situated our organization, Finnish Folk Music Institute, and our aim is kind of nationwide to promote the livelihoods of these local traditions. And we have been existing for 50 years almost now, and we have been always working with the grassroots practitioners. We called them more like amateurs. We didn't use the word a practitioner back then, but when now you look at the activities that we did and we have done, they were actually very grassroots based and community based. But we were working with museums, archives, as we still do, with publications, education, different domains, different kind of ways to work with heritage. But about 10 years ago, we heard about this strange thing, intangible cultural heritage, and the UNESCO Convention. And we were a little bit kind of in the beginning, at least I was against of this. I thought that no, it's another thing that we have to do. We have been doing good work for many years, so we don't need it. But then little by little, when our organization and the communities, they got to know the convention better, then we realized that this is actually exactly the things that we want to do. And there is actually some things that they are thinking better through this convention and through these ideas of intangible cultural heritage. So since then, we've been very, very eager to learn more and network more, especially through these ideas of the convention and ideas or the framework of intangible cultural heritage. And since then, within the Finnish Folk Music Institute, we have been trying to focus on our archive work, in our museum work, in publications, in education, always through these approaches. It used to be more focused on historical, kind of the history giving value to the tradition, and then aesthetic systems giving value to the heritage. But these are kind of the things that we now try to think that these things give value to the actual heritage. And this is always what we should focus in all of our work that we do. So community approach, idea that it's living, changing heritage. There is an idea of cultural diversity, so no one culture can be better than the other one or more beautiful. And then human rights, sustainable development, and then idea of actively safeguarding. And through the process, we worked with the local practitioners, and it was inscribed to 21, and it was maybe 18 that we started to work with actually the inscription or the inscription files, and we got the local organizations together. And these organizations who were grassroots organizations, practitioners, and we formed a working group that met every 1 month, and we were talking about the safeguarding plans and why should we do this application and so on. And we applied some project funding, we did international benchmarking, thinking about the safeguarding, idea of safeguarding the local, and also the communication with state parties. But especially the community approach, what we did in this about 2 years period with the file, it included questionnaires, interviews, informal and formal meetings with the community. So there were 40, 30 different meetings that we had in the local musicians' rehearsals, for example, telling and asking, what do you think about this UNESCO listing? Should we do it or not? And then if they said no, then we won't do it. And kind of giving the message that it's your application, it's not the expert's application. We had workshops, awareness raising just in public places, newspapers, and different projects, education, research, safeguarding. So just very kind of like a very big thing, trying to put it in a nutshell. What we have learned, what would be kind of the biggest things that we think that we have learned from these experiences, especially this UNESCO inscription process, and how to work with communities, what is important. And a few lessons, or maybe the main findings of our works have been that community involvement, it's not just like having an idea and then going to the community and tell it to them and take them with you at that point. But community involvement means really that you have to take the communities with you in the planning phase. And you have to give the power to the communities to say no. So even though if your organization has a great idea, UNESCO listing or whatever, and the community, you always have to give the community a chance to say that no, we don't want to go there. And this, when you have this idea, then it's really community involvement. So you have to take the communities with you in the very, very beginning planning phase. And this is, it sounds very easy, but actually in real life, we very often are kind of the expert people working with heritage. We already kind of have the idea where the communities should, the box that they should fit, and then we try to fit them there. But the idea is really the plan, the whole platform with the communities, so that we know what kind of boxes there should be. So maybe this would be the main message or main findings from Kaustinen. Thank you.
Thank you, Matti, for this lesson. Also, very practical tip, I think, for everyone here in the audience. Now we have time for questions. I'm very much aware that 10 minutes is really short for your presentations. Also, during the previous days, we've chatted a lot with the visitors, and they all said that they could talk for days about their work. So go ahead with your questions, and maybe they can try to answer some. Any questions yet? Oh.
Thank you. I'm Hesse Dibbits from the Rijnwaard Academy, and thank you so much for your wonderful contributions, stories, insights. I was wondering, and maybe now I'm sort of ruining a party, or but I'm always sort of looking for tension or conflict or issues, and I can imagine that there were several challenges in your work as well, and tensions also within the communities you work with or you are part of. Could you share a bit about these challenges or tensions?
Is this a question to all three?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to repeat it very briefly for the people who are listening on the live stream. So there's a question, what kind of tensions where there are in the communities that you worked with, or did you see any tensions? Could you please stand up and answer on the microphone if you want? Thanks.
Thank you for the question. Very important point. In our case, of course, there were a lot of tensions, and that's always, it should be like that, because we are human beings and we are communities. Maybe just to bring one important thing to the discussions is kind of how you define community. It's a group of people, and like from our experience, what we first started defining the community, asking them that, what do you think that is a community? And then we had a community. And then after that, we go like, what's the name of the heritage? And then the community agrees that, okay, this is the name of the heritage or the element. But then we ask the question, what's the community behind this element? Then the community is different. So kind of where to put the borderlines when you talk about the communities. I think that's kind of a long debate that you have to have. And there are some kind of challenges always there. There are different opinions. But in my opinion, then you just have to talk so long that everybody gets tired of talking. And then you normally have some kind of consensus. But yeah, it's not always like that.
Okay, so about the community, I think in our case sometimes there is a problem because we are doing very often the inscriptions that are working with lots of different communities, and sometimes there is one community who is stronger than the other, and duty is to talk to them and try to do that the element will be equal for each other, that they don't feel that they are used or there are, especially with the name of the element. This is also very, very important, because sometimes I have got example from my last month meeting. They were about painting, and there are a couple of villages, but one village has got most of the artists, and they want to name the element with the name of the village. Then we have got to talk how to do it without this, and try to collaborate and making an union with these communities. This is probably a problem. Also, sometimes there is a problem when sometimes call and ask me to help who isn't the part of the community and who think that he knows that it should be inscribed on the list, and he thinks that he knows how would be name this element. So this is also a different problem. The people outside of the communities who wants to sometimes even takes advantage of the ICH in this area. So this is two topics. Yeah, and this is sometimes very hard, but I'm trying to collaborate, and and this is I don't have a bad experience. Always we have got solution that this is good for everybody.
Quite a lot of mediation actually then as part of your work.
The mediation is the keywords, obviously. And another thing that we have learned by the experience is to try to transform the conflict in a part of the heritage. An example was 2 years ago, was finishing the COVID, and we have two different Durga Puja events, but two different temples that are struggling. Mine is the best one. Yeah, mine is the best one. I want to do in that. I want to make it in that square. No, that square is mine, etc. A very, very, very conflict. We asked them to make a sort of competition in the community of Bangladeshi people, say to solve the situation throughout a game, because they play cricket, so they make a cricket game. One win, and now actually the cricket game is a part of the process of the construction of the Durga Puja event inside our district. It was a solution that obviously is not possible in all the context, but sometimes our duty is to be creative, to try to not only to mediate at the bottom level, but to mediate at the higher level. To try to dare this community to do something more, to solve the problem, to find the situation, to find solution by themselves, and sometimes it works. This time it works.
Thank you. Any other questions? Esteban.
Thank you. Question for Agatha? Hi, I'm Nienke. I work for the Netherlands Institute for Sound and Vision. Fantastic work that you're doing at the National Institute, but I was wondering, all the stories, all the objects that you are putting together on this website, how do these stories also, are they reusable for others, and are you making them available to libraries or archives or museums more broadly than on this wonderful platform that you have? And is that the role of your institute that you work for, or is that out of the scope of your activities?
Yeah, I'm going to reply say it a second time again. Very briefly, a question on Agatha's project with the digital platform, and where are these sources made available as well, only on your platform or on other platforms as well?
This is the first phase of this project, and they are only on the internet. But we are thinking when we collaborate much more of these histories of this because now we have got only 2 pilots, and they have involved 8 of 73 elements of our list. So we are working with Centrum of Social Archivistics because they have got a tool which is a basic on this level. But we were thinking, in the about 2-3 years to do maybe separate thing and working with this what we have got from this project and the societies about, I don't know, maybe some kind of podcast, maybe some to use it more visually. But now is the basic when we are trying to collect as many as we can, and then we will be probably also working with the communities. We have got this. How do you want to do it? What do you want to do it with this? Because I don't, when I doing everything, I always send or email or chat with my communities with the questionnaire. What do they want? What do they think? Do they can input to something project? Is it value for them? Because I have got a lot of work, and if I want to do another project, I want to do something that they need. Yeah, but in that phase, this is only a database. But we're thinking about the future, and I think that we would do much more with these files. Yeah.
Anyone else? Yeah.
Hello, I'm Deepika. I come from India, but I have been in the Netherlands for a year now. I have a question for Matti, if I'm pronouncing the name correctly. You mentioned that there are about 200 plus musicians in the area that the drummers. Is it there? I'm just curious. Is being a musician their primary profession, and are they able to earn a livelihood out of it, or is it something that they do on the side just to practice the tradition?
A question for Matti on the number of 200 musicians, whether they are professionals or amateurs, practitioners, or.
It's a very, very good question, and important as we define like a Kaustinen fiddle playing practitioner. There are all other instruments also included, and other kind of roles in the heritage. But of course, the fiddle playing is kind of the symbolic thing that the community itself wanted to be lifted into the topic of the nomination. So the fiddle playing is kind of in the central part, in the focus. But then again, in the folk music scene, especially today, there are kind of 2 different levels. It's the professional level, which is very possible, and we also promote the professional folk music playing and practicing. But then there is this kind of amateur level that they have some other, they don't regard it as themselves as professionals. Even though they play a lot, they might do it a lot, but that's kind of the self-identification thing. But there is everything. There is professionals that are very known in the whole of Finland, like from the classical music. They do an occupation that's totally different from the traditional music. But then they have the roots in the community, so they also know the local tradition, and they are very professional. But then they are very amateur practitioner-likes, and it's very hard to say like what percentage, because everybody is kind of an individual. And there is this relationship of these ideas. So the concept of kind of professional musician, it is a little bit hard in this context.
Anyone else? Or, okay, I guess we'll take a really, really short break. You can go to the restroom if you want, it's upstairs, or get some water in the back. But please stay close, because we will start within 5 minutes, I guess, with the next part and with the next 4 speakers. So see you in 5 minutes. Thank you.